Well, you're at the match or you're practicing, and you're given a course of fire, sheet of paper that has all the targets on it and the distances at each stage. But you might want to verify that, right? So I believe those ranges, but I always verify them as well. And you want the right device to be able to do that. Hi everyone, it's the 4-Gun Guy, and today I want to talk about the newest addition to my shooting family, and that is the Sig Sauer Kilo5. It's a really nice little rangefinder, and the nice thing about this rangefinder is it syncs up with my Kestrel. Now yesterday in a 22 long rifle match, I think about 7 of the stages had 5 different targets on each stage. So you would have to move, readjust your dope, shoot 2 shots, move, readjust your dope, shoot 2 shots. And you know, you really need to, when you get on that stage, you have to really start to look at how you're going to shoot it. You have to shoot it the way they tell you to, but you know, you just need to understand what the ranges are, what your dope is for that range. Is there any wind? And so I thought I'd kind of go through all that today with you. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Kilo5, some of its capabilities. Then I want to go outside and take some views through it. They're not going to be really good because everything I have to hook up to a optic device doesn't fit this thing. So it's going to be kind of shaky, but we're going to get through that. Then I'm going to show you how it syncs up with the Kestrel. Now this is a 5700 Elite with applied ballistics in it, and you're going to see how from a Bluetooth perspective these sync up. And then I'm going to talk about the multiple target capabilities on the Kestrel and how you use this to update each one of those. Then we'll come back and we'll have some final thoughts. So if you're ready to go, let's get to it. All right, well, let's talk about why the Kilo5. So I did a little bit of research, and first of all, I'm going to get some comments that are going to say, why didn't you just get some range-finding binoculars? And that's a great point, right? Vortex has some really good range-finding binoculars. I've looked through those. Sig Sauer actually has a really good pair of range-finding binoculars. And then you go all the way up to Leicas, which I actually looked through yesterday from a buddy of mine, Caleb, who was shooting in the same squad. Those were really nice, but you know, those are $3,000 or something like that. So I didn't want to spend that much. Plus, if you saw my last video on the Bushnell Forge binoculars, I just got these things. So I didn't want to now have to say, all right, let me get rid of my Forge binoculars and try to get a rangefinder in the with binoculars and all that stuff. Besides, I am absolutely in love with these binoculars. I can't say it enough. And people who look through these things keep telling me how clear and crisp they are for $600. So that's why I went with a separate rangefinder. I already have binoculars I love. I wanted to get a rangefinder. Now, the Kilo5 really has some awesome features. The one feature that we're going to talk about today is the fact that it does sync up with the Kestrel. Real easy setup to sync up with it. I'm not going to go into that because there's all sorts of stuff online to show you that. But it really syncs up very easily with the Kestrel. And the second feature of this, which I don't know that I'll ever use, I'm not a big hunter. So, you know, I'm in it for the sport. I have brother-in-laws who are big hunters, and I think that's great. It's just never been a thing I've gotten into. But what this has in it is the ability to drop waypoints onto an app that's on your mobile device. And as you drop the waypoints, you're basically setting up a breadcrumbs of where you've been along your hunt or your hike or wherever. There's a really neat video out there of a gentleman, I'll try to link to it, but they shot a deer on the other side of a valley. And what he did is he took his rangefinder, ranged where he thought the deer ended up, dropped a waypoint there, and then they were able to, by their phone, navigate their way to the general area of where the deer was. And it was, I think, probably within 10 or 20 yards of where they ended up. So that is a huge, huge feature of this thing. The glass in this is very clear. It's got some focus adjustments here that you can focus for your eyes. The one thing with me is, if you remember, I had eye surgery about 1.5 years ago now. And so through this, either the object is in focus and the little round designator is not, or the round designator is in focus and the object I'm viewing is not. Now, it's not bad out of focus. It's not like I can't see anything, but it's just that enough that I'm like, yeah, that's bothersome. But it's because of my eyes. I know it is. So, and I don't wear glasses out when I shoot anymore. So again, I'm just looking at some of the things here. It's got really good Bluetooth. They say it's got a Gen 2 Lightwave DSP ranging engine, which whatever that means, I can tell you that this does work. It's a 7-power rangefinder, which I really like. So it really does get out there a little more than some of the other rangefinders. And so really that's why I got this thing. You can get it on Midway, Optic. If you're a PRS shooter, remember what I said in my last video. If you're a registered PRS shooter, then Optic gives you a discount on stuff like this. So, you know, I got this on Midway because they were running a deal and sent me a coupon that they always send. And so I just used it for this. So it was pretty good. I think I got this for around $5.25, something like that. So good deal. It's a good buy. And I just wanted to clear up why I got the two separate things. I'm not going to go down all of the rest of the stats here, but let's just put out or talk about a few of them here. As I said, magnification 7x, 25mm objective. Some of the things that really stuck out: waterproofing, it's IPX4. It takes a CR2 battery, pretty standard. And then it says that the battery will last about 4,000 ranges. So, you know, we'll see how that lasts. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the ranging capability. So this is saying that range on a deer is 2,000 yards. I can see that with what I did here. Range on trees to 2,500 yards, and then max reflective range, which when you're looking at rangefinders, guys, max reflective range really means there's a big metal building like an airplane hangar or a barn that's 5,000 yards away, and you might be able to reflect off of that. So really, you know, that's that. Just some of the things there. There's some different settings here, and again, I'm not going to go through all this because if you get one of these or if you do your research, you're going to see the different settings and what you use them for. You know, it's got the last setting, it's got the scan setting, so I really do like that setting. I can start to hold the button, I hold the button down, and then as I scan, it's giving me the distances as I'm scanning, which is really pretty cool. And at that 22 match yesterday, I did use that a little bit. So I would go from thing to thing to thing. Now, I didn't use the Kestrel target setup that I'm showing you here in a few minutes. But I did use the scan quite a bit. So really, you know, that's all I wanted to show you here. Oh, it does have an app. So if you don't have a Kestrel, you can download the app onto your phone. You can use that app. It does have ballistic calculations in it. So again, it can take some of the local meteorological readings and use those to calculate ballistics. But that's a whole different setup. And again, I'm not going to use that because I have my Kestrel. But if you're looking at something that can do that, you might want to look at this Kilo5. Now I want to talk about another thing before we get behind this. You know, there's a lot of plates out there that you can buy and a lot of very expensive plates that you can buy. But if you know me, the first place I start to look is Amazon. So I went on to Amazon, and my whole point of this was, I like this kind of swivel head that I got with this Inter-Rail tripod. So I use that a lot. And this little bar here, I got off of Amazon, and I'll put a link to that. And again, I can't remember what this was, but I want to say it was less than 20 bucks for this bar. It comes with the two 1/4-inch screw adapters here, so you don't have to buy anything more. And as you can see, both these things fit right on here. So it really, really works well for what I want to use it for. So I tell you what, let's go out and get behind this thing and see what it looks like. Well, here we are in the backyard, and I've got the setup here, so we're going to go over that in just a second. But we're going to just look out at some distances from, 75 yards to 150, and all the way out to, I think, 770 yards. So I want to see how the Kilo5 is going to sync up with the Kestrel, and go through that. But I want to show you the setup here as well. So let me flip this camera around and we'll talk about that. All right, well, here's the setup, and we've got the Bog Pod binocular rest here, and it's just connected right to this attachment that comes with this bar. But again, got the Bog Pod, which works great for the binoculars. And then this is the mount that I got from MKM Machining, and the Sig just fits right into that. So you get a shot of my ugly backyard, but the Sig fits right into that, and I can just adjust both of these right here. So as I need to adjust, I've got this kind of pivot head on there, which I really like, and seems to work out really well so far. So let's go ahead and get some shots, hopefully through the rangefinder, and then we'll see how that syncs up with the Kestrel. Okay, I'm going to try to hold this steady, and now I'm going to take target C, and that's 231 yards. Now, what I've done in the Kestrel, and I'll show you this in a minute, is I moved target A, B, and C. I already took B, and this was C. And if I come down to the Kestrel, you can see that target C is 232 yards. Then I move the Kestrel to target D, and this is from probably a week or two ago, 547. But now let me adjust the rangefinder for a different yardage, and then I'll come back to this. I don't want to move the camera all over the place, but let me do that. So now I went ahead and got 580 yards on that telephone pole. And now if we come back to the Kestrel, target D is 581. And let's go ahead and add a target E, and I'll shoot that real quick. Hold on. Okay, well, I wanted to run through this. So, and I'm kind of figuring this out on the fly too, guys. So look, we have 5 targets that were entered in the Kestrel, right? Now, if I go target A, normally here, if you are just using a single target, when I press this right-hand button, it would increase the yardage, right? So watch the 51. Didn't move, right? Now it went to target B, which is 98 yards. Now it went to target C, which is 232. Now it goes back to target A. You need to make those targets active. So what I did is I came in here, target, scroll up, A, B, C. Now watch. When I get to D, if I press the enter button, do you see here where it says active no? If I say yes here, then I exit. Then I go to target E, enter, yes. I'm hitting the right-hand arrow here. Exit, exit. Now, look, I'm on target E at 896 yards. If I come back to target, if I come back here, target C, target E, target A, I guess I didn't hit enter for D, B, C, and it'll go to E. So let me come back into target. This is kind of cool. Oops, I don't want FG, I want D. Click on here. See, it was active no. So if I go active yes, then I should come out. Then I should be okay. Come out one more time. Now I should have D, E, back to D, back to C, 232, back to B, 98, back to A, 51. So that's pretty interesting there. That I can scroll through these, and I got to tell you, at the match yesterday, the 22 long rifle match, almost every stage had multiple targets. And generally, what you would do is I would enter the distance, right? Scroll up, scroll down with the yardage here, and then I'd write it down on my my wrist marker. And then I would come back in here, increase the distance. I'll tell you what this makes you do. This makes you verify the distance. And we're going to talk about that when we get to final thoughts. Well, I'm going to keep final thoughts kind of short. You know, there was one thing I did not mention when I was going over the overview of this rangefinder, and that is the one thing that really, I mean, I'll admit to you, it really upset me, was the fact that this does not come with a tripod mount built into it. So there's a place out there on the internet, I'll put this in here too, called MKM Machining, and they machine this little adapter that the Kilo5 just fits right in, and this thing was 30 bucks, 29 bucks. Well worth the money, but it really bothers me, Sig, that you don't put an adapter on the bottom of this thing. You know, that's a lot of money for a piece of equipment, and what, 95% of all of these rangefinders have an adapter on there. Now, I don't believe the Leicas do either, but you just, as I say, you just fit this on there. It's pretty rugged. It's held really well so far. And then you just screw this right on into here, and then we're good to go. But in closing, look, this is well worth the money in my opinion. And the way it syncs up to my Kestrel is just awesome. I mean, I love the way that syncs up. You saw how I was able to do the 5 different targets on here. Now, I'll admit, I haven't played much with this. I took this first time to the match yesterday, and I'm going to be honest about something else. Out at the 22 match, I was getting a little frustrated because at that 22 match, we shot out to 255 yards, I think. And at 255, it was a 12-inch plate, no problem. This thing picked it right up. But then we had some much smaller targets at the 150, 175, 200, 220, and those targets were probably like this. Holding this with my hand, I couldn't pick those targets up. So just be aware that if you're going to get this for like 22, you're going to need to do something like this. And I knew I would, so that's why I did this. But I will tell you, after the match, again, my buddy Caleb, he had his Leica there, his rangefinder. Actually, they were the binoculars. And I said, do you mind if I compare these things? So a buddy of mine also had a tripod with a bag on it. So I was able to look through his Leica, look at the range, the target, and it picked it right up. Then I put this on the bag and really stabilized it, and it picked it up, same range. So there's a bunch of different settings you need to go through here. Pick out the ones that work best for you, and then go from there. So all in all, really good buy. I really like this this rangefinder, and I hope it's going to work out in the PRS match. I may do a follow-up and see how the next match goes using this. Well, anyway, got some other stuff coming up, guys, and I really appreciate the comments, the likes, the subscriptions, and until next time, shoot straight.